A lot of young men have been sharing with me the average woman has no desire for the average male, that the women in your cohort who are similar partners to you may not desire you. Instead of wanting a partner making 60, want a partner making 80s.
If someone came to me and told me that, the first thing I would do is...
There's a mating crisis happening right now. More and more young men are finding it difficult to get into a relationship or find someone, and they're deeply worried it will stay like this for the rest of their lives. What is the cause of this new wave of anxiety men are feeling around relationships? A report from the Family Stability Network in the UK states that as the first generation born into the digital age reaches adulthood, more and more of them find themselves feeling lonely. The report surveyed males aged 16 to 19 and found that many of them had pretty conventional wants from life: marriage, kids, buying a house, and living the classic dream. 64% of them, however, feared that this would never happen for them, and 55% were scared they would have women laugh in their faces. It's not just in the UK. In Australia, 29% of men aged 18 to 34 are single, up from 21% in 1976, and suicide rates among young men are the highest they've been in the past decade. It seems like the mating crisis might be real. But why is it happening? According to Catherine Barker, a researcher at the Family Stability Network, young men do not have good, reliable sources of advice on relationships. Having no other reference for intimacy in relationships, they turn to pornography.
Pornography is a big problem. It's a big problem. It's a real curse, that pornography, in my opinion, because it's an easy out.
There's no question that porn consumption has gone up in the last decade. In 2020 alone, porn sites received more traffic than Twitter, Netflix, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn combined. It's a $97 billion industry, and though access to these websites is free, you still pay a heavy price. Pornography increases your feelings of isolation and creates an illusion of intimacy and emotional connection through objectification, warping the viewer's idea of what real intimacy looks like. But not all men unable to find a partner are struggling with a porn addiction. There are other factors at play.
So, clue in a bit, and then, well, don't they find you attractive? Well, maybe you're not. Have you paid attention to how you dress? Do you have a plan? Are you as educated as you could be? Are you a liar? Are you a rabid pornography user? Because maybe that's undermining your motivation to seek out a woman and grow yourself up.
NYU professor Scott Galloway stated that fewer men are attending college lately, as opposed to women, which has now led to a mating crisis. Basically, women made up 59.5% of college students by the end of 2021, compared to about 40.5% of men. And in time, we'll see this gap widen, so that for every man that earns a college degree, there will be 2 women who earn the same. But it's not just about enrollment. It's about dropouts, too. Men drop out at a higher rate than women, causing a significantly larger number of women to graduate with a degree than men. This can be due to various reasons, but Galloway does mention one thing in particular.
Simple. The products become more expensive, and it's not any better. We haven't, at our elite universities, we're so drunk on luxury, we haven't expanded enrollments. So it's like, well, I'm going to get rejected for something that I might have to pay a Mercedes price for a Hyundai.
There's also the fact that college-aged men have many more opportunities for employment, regardless of their educational background.
Quite frankly, the opportunities for men at that age are greater than they are for women. You can walk into a construction site in Florida, you can turn on an app, cop, fireman, trade job, which at the age of 18, if you can make $100 to $200 a day, that feels like real cabbage.
That aside, the typical role models of today, from Gary Vee to Elon Musk, all look down on college education, which has contributed to an increased number of dropouts among men.
So you're going to have the most dangerous person in the world is a broke and a lone male, and we are producing too many of them.
According to Galloway, the most unstable and violent societies in the world have one thing in common: young, depressed men who aren't attached to work, education, or relationships. Following that, women with college degrees don't wish to date men without college degrees. And it doesn't seem like this is about to change anytime soon. In the 2021 to 2022 academic year, there were 3,805,978 college applications by women, compared to the 2,815,810 by men. When the University of California expanded its enrollment by 3,000 students, 90% of those spots were taken by women. It's not that the men's applications are more competitive, they just don't apply for college. With the increased cost of college education, the institutions focus on luxury rather than improving resources, and the narrative that you don't need college to be successful, it's no surprise that fewer men are attending college. This certainly wasn't the case some time ago.
A third of the population got 80% of the spoils. And so it was just awesome to be a white dude in the 80s. And you got free education, and you got opportunity to access free education with incredible admissions rates. So there's just no getting around it. Things have gotten more competitive.
Surprisingly, the remedy to fixing this mating crisis isn't dumping a large population of men into colleges and universities in the hopes that things change. After all, there are highly educated males who still can't find a mate. Ultimately, it comes down to introspection, or lack thereof. It's easy to blame women and their high standards for men not being able to find a partner. But as Jordan Peterson states, this isn't the woman's problem.
I would say to young men who are irritated at women is, if you're irritated at women, as a class of creature, there's something wrong with you, because they're right. You're wrong. They're right to not pick you. If they're not picking you, it's because they're right.
He says that women have more at stake sexually than men do. If men had to go through pregnancy as a result of sex, they'd be picky about who they mate with as well, because the responsibility of birthing and raising a child are infinitely higher. And so, Dr. Peterson recommends introspection, visiting a therapist or cognitive behavioral psychologist to pick the problem apart and learn what might be stopping you from finding a partner and maintaining a happy, healthy relationship.
So you feel as though Dr. Peterson is that, for the men who are complaining about the standards of women today and it being elevated, that it's not so much a focus of pointing the finger at them not choosing them, but more so looking in the mirror and asking themselves what can they do to improve themselves to be so desirable, instead of focusing simply in on the inability of what
be
you're going
a little
through today.
stronger. Be a little stronger, dress a little better, speak a little more clearly, aim a little higher, and practice that, and that'll work.
The truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all solution to the mating crisis. It's as nuanced a subject as every man's individual desires, needs, and backgrounds. The problem might be education, but it could also be confidence or a warped idea of intimacy due to the overconsumption of pornography. This is why forcing men into colleges isn't going to solve the problem. When you provide a surface-level diagnosis with several factors, you end up telling men about problems they don't even have, and that complex can stay with them for a long while. If anything, it's a relief to know that the problem is different for everyone, and it's even better when you know it's fixable. Once you've done the internal work and figured out the root cause of why it's so difficult to find a partner, you can begin to take steps to improve your accountability and emotional health. After that, and only after that, should you seek a long-term partner. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe to the Be Inspired channel and ring the bell so you never miss a video from us. Thanks for watching.